This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
I'm writing an intro. I can't write an intro. Why can't I write an intro? I'm wearing a green dress. I wish I was wearing my blue dress. My blue dress is at the cleaners. The Germans wore gray. You wore blue. Casablanca. Casablanca. Such a good movie. Casablanca. The White House. Bush. Why don't I drive a hybrid car? I really should drive a hybrid car. I really should take my bicycle to work. Bicycle. Unicycle. Unitard. Hockey puck. Rattlesnake. Monkey underpants.
Wow.
That was actually my band's name in college.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Yes. Wow, Zach. That was impressive. That was a one take, too.
One take.
Nicely
I can't
done.
do it with music, but I can do it with a lot of words.
I know what show you should be on.
Oh, no.
Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent. And I'm Zack.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our We Ate Everything at KFC
Woo,
show.
yeah.
Because we ate everything at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Mission accomplished because
Yes.
we made people crave KFC.
Which I don't know if I was surprised. After a Subway show, I felt like nobody wanted to.
We found out a year later that people actually ate at Subway.
They didn't want to admit it.
Ashley Rose said after listening to the episodes where you review food, I always crave it. So yes, now I want KFC, and I did crave Subway after you guys did that one too. I'm shocked.
Vindicated.
But we did get lots of photos and lots of comments from people who said they went and got KFC.
Yeah.
So you're welcome for the business, Colonel.
Greasy bags of Nashville hot sauce pouring out.
Canadian milk bag.
Canadian milk
Those
bags
two.
of Sweet Lightning.
Yeah.
It was great. But we did get a comment from Not Briggs Parker on Instagram who said, I actually work at KFC and I will continue to make myself a chicken sandwich almost every shift. So
Wow.
go too.
So, and that's, I said, the rule is if you can work there and still want to eat the food, it's
Yeah.
a good place.
It's also lightly terrifying to know there are other people in the world that share my sister's passion for gravy.
That's you.
That's
Zach, after the show, went and got a cup of gravy on the way home and just drank it.
Well, I realized that, you know how I've said on the show before, I really like Canada? I like it even more now after Scott Foster said gravy in Canadian KFCs is way better than the stuff down here. It was so good we would use it at Thanksgiving and Christmas. I need it.
Marketing
I
works.
want to know how it could be better. We got to do a gravy taste test.
I don't know that it can.
Wait, you want to take a road trip?
Canada gravy.
12 hours.
Canadian
We're going
road
to Calgary.
That's worked well for kids in the
Closest,
past.
yeah.
Hey, too soon. 4 years later.
And then finally, Sam on Twitter, Expelliarmos, says, I probably haven't been to KFC in 25 years, but now I'm craving it. Great episode today. It was finger booping good.
Why didn't we say that on
I
the
was
show?
That was so good.
We said ear licking, not finger booping.
You said ear licking.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, and then I got called out because I probably wasn't going to read that comment on this episode. So, boom, Twitter army.
Oh, yeah. Twitter army.
Very powerful.
But KFC is not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
Well, we're talking about Gilmore Girls today.
It's finally here!
No.
It's finally here!
Do you want to go get a drink?
No.
Maverick
No,
is just
you
down the
stay
street.
here. You
Yep,
stay
let's
here
go.
and you
We good?
enjoy the wondrous. that
Joel's
is-
just going to do the show on his own. So he'll be
I know.
fine.
I'm just trying to figure
don't
out
need
what
me.
is it? What is it that finally allowed us to do a Gilmore Girls episode?
It's called estrogen. The chicken gives us a lot of estrogen. We all know that's the truth.
No, I'm very, very happy to finally do this episode. I've been wanting to do it for years, and I finally get to do it because our lovely guest here tonight, Aleesha Bass, has allowed me to do so. Aleesha, welcome to the Bacon
Hello.
Cave.
Hi, everybody.
Joel loves you so much right now.
You are.
And look, I'm a big fan. I'm just a little upset about the topic.
Hey, you know.
A big fan of
that
Gilmore
just-
Girls or a big fan of Aleesha?
Big fan of Aleesha.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks.
Aleesha, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Aleesha. I'm a writer. I've been a fan of Baconsale since day one. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here finally. It's been how long since you guys started?
Yeah, 7 years.
7 years. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What about listening to our show made you think that we'd want to do this?
Well,
Just put it simply.
She's heard Joel speak at any point.
definitely everything Kent has ever
Oh,
said
absolutely.
about Gilmore Girls. No, it was, Joel's enthusiasm for sure. And I know I can talk a lot about Gilmore Girls. So that was just one of the topics that I presented.
Well, and you presented a number of great topics as a patron. You got to kind of sponsor a show, and you gave us some ideas, and we were happy with all of them. We're stealing most of them, but we're doing this one right now. And before we get into it, though, we do have some questions for you.
Yes.
All right.
Are you ready? You
As
prepped?
we do this, as we do here on Baconsale, we have a series of questions, 11 questions right now, to ask you. We want your quick answers, so don't take too long to think about it. Even if you don't have a strong opinion,
No
just
hemming
say
and
one of
hawing.
them.
Just reminding you,
Got it.
you've been listening to me for like 11 years.
Right.
So
But just reminding you, I like Gilmore Girls a lot. So let's jump into this, shall we?
Let's do it.
No right or wrong answers here, right, Kent? Okay. Number one, which is better, Karate Kid or Karate Kid 2?
Karate Kid.
Yes. Which is worse, Star Wars Episode 1 or Star Wars Episode 2?
Episode 1.
Okay.
Do you rate movies using stars or letter grades?
Letter grades.
Nice.
Okay. Which is more America, Rocky IV or Independence Day?
Independence Day.
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
Halloween.
Nice.
Okay. Buffy or X-Files?
Buffy.
Ooh, wow, that's rare.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Which is more Christmassy, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Die Hard.
She knows.
No, people know. People know.
Phantom of the Opera or Les Miserables?
Phantom of the Opera.
All right. Labyrinth or Neverending Story?
Labyrinth.
Oh, what?
And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or 10 Things I Hate About You?
10 Things I Hate About You.
There we go.
Wow.
That was close. That was
Pretty much even?
She
That's
may have split that
basically
right down
split.
the middle. That was,
On
that was pretty
purpose?
close.
Not on purpose, I promise.
Yeah.
All right.
find that.
You have integrity
good.
or something.
Sometimes.
But we thank you for being here, Aleesha. Thank you for being our guest. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we're going to talk about something, a very casual discussion about Gilmore Girls.
Like casual, like 10 minutes? Should we make this a 10-minute episode, possibly?
No.
About Gilmore Girls?
No.
And
This
then
is a
leave?
Friday night dinner.
We'll get into that. But let's start out real quick. I just want to talk about why we started watching Gilmore Girls.
We.
'Cause all of us did at some certain point. All of us have seen episodes
Wait,
of Gilmore
Zach,
Girls.
how much have you seen?
I have seen a bit.
What does that even mean?
Very
Like
specific.
2 seasons.
Oh, you have seen 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's more than I have.
No, but why did you start watching, Zach?
I'm married.
So your wife said, "Hey, sit down and watch this with me." Like she already did, or was she showing it to you, or did you watch it while she was watching?
No, my wife is a huge fan, and we had talked about the show enough, and we wondered if there was a possibility if there was going to be an episode of Baconsale about this, and so I just decided to get ahead of it because there's 7 seasons of this thing, and
And a
I said-
movie.
yeah, well,
Kind of.
and so I was like, you know what? Let's just start watching it. And she was more than willing to obviously go through it again. We got through 2 seasons before canceling the Netflix subscription.
It was that bad. You canceled the Netflix. You disliked it that much. You canceled Netflix.
I mean,
you could just not watch it.
Could have just
Say Mark has watched and move on.
Just give them the
all I needed
numbers.
to do.
That's what people do with Baconsale.
Aleesha, what about you? How did you get into Gilmore Girls?
It started a long time ago. It was while this series was airing. I think it was probably 2004 or 2005.
Okay.
I remember it used to air on Tuesday nights, and I couldn't ever watch it on Tuesday nights because I had like a young youth activity thing that always happened on Tuesday nights.
Mutual.
Yeah, but, thanks, Kent.
Also,
So I didn't ever start watching it until it was syndicated on ABC Family, and then I was able to watch it regularly. And I had
which is now Freeform.
It is freeform. And then I had friends who had the seasons that I would just borrow too.
On DVD?
So, on DVD,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I eventually accumulated all of my DVD copies too. So
Nice.
Okay, so you got into it fairly early then.
Yeah.
Okay. Kent, what's your story?
your fault. It's absolutely your fault.
How is it
100% a Joel conspiracy. Listen, everyone, and Joel's going to talk about his history with the show, but Joel's liked this show for a decade, roundabout.
Well, actually, probably true.
Yeah, because 5 years ago, I started dating someone that has a relation to Joel. And
She's related to
somehow,
my wife, yes.
Yes, somehow she brought up that we should watch Gilmore Girls, knowing that I never wanted to watch this show. When the show was on TV, I was like, oh, it's that really annoying show where they talk way too fast and everyone's way too clever. But
I
you
hate when things are clever.
No, but
darn.
like
I like dumb
no,
shows.
like overly, like in your face. Look how clever I am. Like me on half
You mean
of
like
these
Buffy?
episodes. Yeah, Buffy as well. No, totally. But
One of your favorite shows.
Hold
This
on.
just in. Aaron Sorkin says, "Shut up, Kent."
this is Kirkland Aaron Sorkin. That's what this is. Anyway, so yeah, 5 years ago I started dating a relative of Joel's, and she brings up with the fact that we should watch this. So I said, Joel, I think I'm gonna have to watch Gilmore Girls. So if you give me a pitch episode for Baconsale, I'll watch this season. And granted, I kind of had to because I was dating her.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's a conspiracy, because I think you're behind it all.
I'm not.
I watched 1 season of the show and stopped there.
Kent, do you remember our coworker named Danny?
Yeah.
Well, how would you describe Danny?
Oh, really? Like nihilistic?
I mean, a good guy.
Good guy.
But he was always kind of angry, always a little rough around the edges. Not the typical guy you'd expect.
Crotchety?
Well, I'd say crotchety.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
yeah.
But I liked him. We got
Sure.
along just great. But, and then he starts talking one day, and he starts talking about how he likes Gilmore Girls. And I laughed because I knew very
He's not
little.
the type.
I knew very little about the show. I didn't really know any of the characters. And so then when he said that, I was like, you're kidding, right? And he's like, no, I really like it. And I was like, you like this show? And he's like, oh, totally. So every now and then he'd talk about how much he loved this show. And when I found out he wasn't joking, I was kind of intrigued by this. So I ended up giving it a shot.
By yourself or with your wife?
By myself. Just kind of one of those background shows.
Did your wife ask to watch it or ask not to
she
watch it?
She loved it when I watched it. She'd walk in
Okay.
and watch it with me. And I have to admit, I was immediately hooked. From the beginning, I watched that first episode and I was like, well, that was fun. I got to watch another one of those. It became, I don't know if you remember this, Kent.
No, I know.
It became my pre-Baconsale warm-up show.
So,
goodness.
Aleesha, we'd be sitting here, and this is back when Jake was on the show. Jake and I'd be sitting here, and Joel would be like, sorry, guys, I'm 10 minutes late. I was driving and watching on his phone.
No.
He had it Netflix playing on his phone, and you weren't watching it. You just had it playing, right?
It's a great background show because it's mostly dialogue.
That was like his car
Play in the
radio.
background.
Because
Yeah.
Tess does not have Bluetooth, by
She
the
doesn't have
way.
Bluetooth. She has a tape deck and radio.
So he's playing it from his phone, and he tells us, and we're like, hey, Joel, how's it going? Oh, let me tell you what Luke did or Lorelai did. And we're like, what are you talking about? Where is Joel?
No, like we would end the show, we'd get done with Baconsale, we'd be talking about it. I'm like, oh, guys, I got to tell you something. And they're like, what? And I'm like, Taylor totally got after Luke about his diner. And they'd be like, shut up, Joel. Like, it was always this running gag right. I give them Gilmore Girl updates after each show.
It gave us
great.
low T at the end of every show.
My
So,
goodness.
But honestly, I watched it, or I listened to it actually a lot, and then I watched it when I was at home before Baconsale to kind of pep me up because it really is like I love reading good writing and watching good dialogue because it inspires me to write better and to talk better. I believe, as you can tell, is how well I'm talking now.
Yeah,
by all
very
means.
quickly as
my
well.
rambling.
Very
Yes.
eloquent.
So it became a show where I would get pumped up about it. And so I've really enjoyed the show. And obviously there were some parts I didn't like. There were some definite moments that I do not enjoy of this show. But overall, I really enjoyed this show to the point where I was so surprised that I enjoyed it that I wanted to talk about it. And you guys were like, no, never.
absolutely
Never.
not.
No.
But here we are. So, Joel,
here we
you've
are.
seen it one time through.
One time through. And then I started watching it again for this episode.
Yes.
And thank you, Aleesha.
You're so welcome.
Thank you again because I'd just gotten done rewatching Breaking Bad. I have been rewatching Better Call Saul and a lot of heavy, dark content in those shows. And then I watched this one. It was like a ray of sunshine coming through the windows as I'm snuggled up in a
Hard-
blanket,
Yeah.
sipping hot
Hard
cocoa.
disagree.
So good.
I
So
think
good.
there's very little difference between the characterization of Rory Gilmore and Walter White. I think she is one of the most despicable characters
goodness.
on TV.
I'm
but we'll get there because we need to talk about the characters.
Early Rory is okay. Yeah, we'll
So,
get to that.
Aleesha, how many times
Yes.
have you seen the show?
Oh, a dozen.
A dozen.
I've seen it so many times, Kent. Like so many times.
Really? So if I made a random reference, you could tell me the episode it was on?
Probably.
I mean,
Wow.
you know, that's
I mean, I do know.
there's a lot of references on this
When
show.
did Logan
though.
and Rory jump off with an umbrella off the platform?
If you jump, I jump, Jack. It's like season 5, episode
Well,
10, maybe.
I'll agree with that. But I
So
don't know.
joining us, and we may not hear from them on the mic, but we have your sister Jillian,
Yes.
who's also seen the show how many times?
Probably a dozen.
Probably a dozen.
Probably a
Yeah.
dozen.
And Zach, your wife is here.
Yeah, I brought her because every once in a while during the show, I'm going to need to turn around so she can give me my opinion.
And she's a big fan of the show as well.
Huge
so
fan of the show.
So if you don't know the premise of Gilmore Girls, if you're listening to this whole go, what is it? What is this show about? The IMDb synopsis says, a dramedy centering around the relationship between a 30-something single mother and her teen daughter living in Stars Hollow, Connecticut, which is kind of boring.
Very
It is.
boring.
So then I went to Wikipedia.
The show is what?
Then I went to Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge and truth, and got a little more expanded. Lorelai grew up in Hartford with her rich parents, Richard and Emily, but always felt stilted in this environment. After Lorelai became pregnant with Rory at 16 by her childhood boyfriend Christopher, her feelings of familial alienation increased. This eventually motivated her to take her infant daughter, also named Lorelai, but called Rory for short, to a close-knit small town called Stars Hollow.
this feels like a prequel comic, though, what you're saying right now. Because
Yeah.
the show's not about her having her daughter. It's about her being like
It's the setup,
32
though.
and her
is-
daughter being 16.
Those,
Yeah.
those elements come up
They do.
continually in the show, and
Yes.
they do really form who these people are.
Yes.
Stars Hollow is, I believe, it says population 9,973.
Stars Hollow
Wow.
is basically every Hallmark movie set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Okay. It's like
That's
Charming.
fair.
Well, it's literally
Yeah.
it's literally a set.
Yeah.
It's like on the WB,
The WB
backlot.
lot, yeah.
And so my version though of the synopsis, what the synopsis should be, is it's like a happy, less murdery version of Twin Peaks.
Are there no murders in the show?
Well,
I don't think there are.
I'm sure Kirk was
No.
up to something.
He killed Mick and
That's
took
fair.
over
We'll
who
get
he
to that.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aleesha, anything to add to that? The synopsis? Anything you want to say about it to kind of explain to people?
No, I think That was good. Yeah.
Okay. The less murdery thing.
Less murdery, yeah.
Well, and because Twin Peaks, if you watch Twin Peaks, and I also pitched in Twin Peaks for the first season and a half. That's all you should watch of Twin Peaks. But it is the weirdest, quirky show where everyone, like the townspeople, are so unique, and the way they talk is so unique. It's fun to watch it unfold, especially as a writer. And then I watch Gilmore Girls, and it's that same type of quick-witted, kind of back-and-forth banter, very much like the screwball comedies of the 30s and 40s.
From what I remember of the first season, I think we're mostly going to talk about the first season, right?
Yeah, we're going to stay out of spoiler territory for later when, Lorelai starts committing all
We
those
should
murders.
still do some high-level overview of where the show goes. But
So I feel like Lorelai, being this young mother, is trying to have a good handle of her daughter who is going to prep school at this time.
Chilton.
When the show starts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically
school
they go
Chilton.
to a coffee shop a lot.
Luke's.
The coffee shop is owned by Luke.
It's a diner. It's not a coffee shop.
diner.
Okay. Thank you very much.
He serves coffee.
I can't believe I got that wrong.
hardware store.
Yeah. Good job, Zach.
Zach knows more than I do. Good job.
Well, and at first I was kind
And they just talk a lot.
Well, and I was intrigued by the way they were talking at first because it is very fast-paced. But it was the inciting incident where I went, that's kind of a fun little premise because, like it said in the synopsis here, Lorelai left her home when she was 16 and had her child away. And she is completely estranged from her parents. And now her daughter is the age she was when she got pregnant. And she wants to go to this very elite prep school, Chilton. And Lorelai obviously doesn't have the money for this. She's become successful in a way. She's running the inn she actually stayed at after she ran away. And she's done well for herself.
Okay.
But then she has to go and beg her parents for the money to be able to get her daughter to go to her dream school. And she has to swallow her pride into it. And then the parents say, fine, we'll give you the money, but only if you come and have dinner with us every Friday night.
They're like a
Until it's paid
walking
off.
guilt trip, right?
Yep.
They are.
Her
Yes.
mom is like a helicopter mom, prototype.
And we'll get into the characters more about that. But that kind of, I went, oh, that's kind of a fun little thing here where she doesn't like her parents. She doesn't get along with her parents, but now she's forced to be around them because of this deal that she's made. And I thought that was a good premise for a show. By the way, this show ran from October 5th, 2000 to May 15th, 2007. 7 seasons, 153 episodes. And most of these are kind of like just standalone episodes.
Yeah.
There are some arcs.
Yeah. Some can go over maybe a couple of episodes. Usually not very many, though.
I feel like the arcs mainly involve romantic storylines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but outside of that, because I could probably pull up an episode right now, considering I've been introduced to most every character, and just ask my wife, like, who's dating who now? Okay, on we go.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
because that's kind of seems to be all that changes.
Yeah. And you'll get occasionally like a character will come back that was gone, or they'll introduce a new character that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Rachel.
Oh, yeah, Rachel.
So,
Random.
but they'll bring these characters in, but really you don't need.
I got
Why are you
nothing.
whispering
You
Sizzler?
just whispered things. That's what came to my mind.
But you'll occasionally get these, and like any show, it's much better once you've built that foundation.
Yeah.
But as you can just pop into any episode and enjoy it for what it is, a mini screwball comedy from the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
It was originally on the WB, and then moved to the CW. I think right near the end.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the WB became the CW.
Yes.
Right. That's what I mean.
More or
They
less.
kind of overlapped a little bit there, but there was some change in writers too.
In
Yes.
the changing of the network, there was a change in the production team of
Because
the
it
show.
was made by Amy Sherman-Palladino, and her and her husband basically wrote every Gilmore Girls
Yeah.
episode.
Yep.
And the ones they didn't write, they reviewed and supervised.
Yeah.
Just to make sure it had the same tone and the same feel to it.
Sure.
And in fact, Amy Sherman-Palladino has summarized the core of Gilmore Girls, if I may read that. This is her words. Quote, I think the theme was always family and connection. I always felt like the underlying thing about Gilmore is that if it happened to be born in a family that doesn't really understand you, go out and make your own. That's what Lorelai did. She went out and she made her own family. The ironic twist in her life is then that this daughter that she created, this half family for, likes the family that she left. So it's the cycle of a crazy family. That's what she said.
How was Amy Sherman-Palladino's family life growing up? Because it seems like this whole series is like subverting your expectations of what happiness could be. Because these characters continually make bad decisions. I've only seen the first season, but having read some of the plots for upcoming seasons, wow. It's like the writers hate the characters and they want the audience to also hate the characters. Or like a soap opera, kind of be like, why did you make that decision? Hopefully it can be redeemed at some point. But it seems like they often don't.
There definitely seems to be a cycle in the show of like, hey, you might be making a decision right now that's going to make you really happy. And right when it's time to make it, you're not going to.
Right.
And
Does that happen throughout? Or is that just some specific plot lines where relationships are ruined based on these bad decisions?
there are good things that happen, obviously, but conflict is comedy, conflict is story, and so they can't have these people constantly making happy decisions because then
it's a boring show.
Where would the show go?
Right.
Then it's Jim and Pam getting together in the office, and nobody cares after that.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, who hasn't made dumb decisions in relationships or dumb decisions in life where you do something and then you're like, oh man,
No
that was
comment.
terrible.
Yeah, Kent.
Oh my gosh, Aleesha!
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Aleesha's been listening for 11 years. She knows.
But then,
Sorry.
also, I
Sorry.
feel like most of the things that happen are believable, meaning characters aren't going to make decisions because the screenplay demands it a lot of times. I feel like a teenager would make those types of decisions. I feel like
It feels like the Harry Potter problem where they keep so many secrets where if they just told the truth once,
that's Supernatural.
it's every show really.
My favorite
To
season of
create
Supernatural
conflict.
is the one where the one brother has a secret that he's not telling the other brother because he's afraid of what the other brother's going to think about it.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
But if they just told the truth one time, people could end up together. But instead, they want to lengthen the season. Obviously, keep the writing going. They don't want people to be happy.
But I mean, the Will They Won't They is a fun little dance. And I think Gilmore Girls did it quite well with Luke and Lorelai, kind of a will they won't they the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke and Lorelai.
But we can't get into the characters yet. We're not to the character section. We're still in kind of the overall plot of the
All right.
story. She did want to make more of a family show. This is mostly TV PG.
Okay.
Almost the entire time. A few light TV 14 themes come in, especially after the third season.
Yeah.
But it still is, for the most part, a pretty darn clean show. Like one you don't have to turn off when your kid's walking in the room.
Yeah, definitely not like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, who
No.
Sherman-Palladino also did.
Yeah.
A little bit naughty.
Watched the pilot of that one and I was
bit.
I'll watch that one.
quite shocked.
Did you? I hope you watched it edited.
But I did.
Okay, good.
But Sherman-Palladino did say at one point she wanted to create a family show that doesn't make parents want to stick something sharp in their eyes while they're watching, and it doesn't talk down to kids. I think that's a good balance to have.
Yeah, I agree.
But everyone sounds like a 50-year-old screenwriter. Every character to me feels the same. Different cadence.
I disagree. I think Rory and Lorelai feel the same. Lorelai is the mom, Rory's the daughter.
Sure.
I feel like they sound the same, but it's only because Lorelai raised Rory. She's gonna talk like her mom. So I'm okay with that.
To me, it's sameness. It's sameness of the writer. The writing is catchy. I think for the average screenplay, it's like for like an hour-long show, it's like 45 pages. I think they put like
Generally-
70 to 80 pages of script in here because they do speak so fast.
Yeah.
They were saying one page in the industry. 1 page is
1 minute.
about 1 minute.
Yes.
1 page was offering about 25 to 28 seconds initially.
Wow.
In this show because they wanted this fast clip of constant dialogue.
But always from everyone?
Yes.
That's what I don't get. That's why
Yeah.
I hated this show back then. And once again, I'm the newbie here. I've only seen one season. 5 years ago, too. That's all I can judge it from. But it's too intense.
I don't think everyone feels clever.
And I think the variation, it picks up a little bit in further seasons as well, just as characters start developing a little bit more. And
Okay. And the show finds its legs because generally
Yeah.
the first season of most shows is not good.
Right.
Although I do think Gilmore Girls hits the ground running.
Yeah?
Yeah, they do a good job. But my favorite seasons are seasons 2 and 3, just because I think the variation's really good. The characters are kind of spot on, and they're just doing their thing. They found a really good rhythm. So
Well, and it's kind of like The Office. Not that you've seen The Office, Kent.
Seen two
But-
seasons.
But it's like The Office where the first little bit, the background character, and even Parks and Rec, the background characters are kind of just background characters. But as the show grows and as these background characters kind of
It's a
get more
stronger
prominence
show.
and find themselves, like Aleesha said, it becomes much stronger.
Okay.
And so I agree. I think 2 and 3 are probably the strongest seasons.
So
of the
let's
entire show.
talk about these background characters who become featured players.
Yes, or let's talk about the main characters first. We already discussed Lorelai, the 30-something mom, played by Lauren Graham, who is fantastic in her role. Honestly, she's so delightful to watch.
yeah,
I will say the thing that made me chuckle the most is you can tell that this show started in the year 2000 solely based on Lorelai's wardrobe.
oh yeah. There's like TikToks I've seen that are devoted to Lorelai's fashion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something.
I would also
it was
say
a throwback. For
I would
sure.
also say that you can tell this is created in the early 2000s because of the music that they talk about and the music they play. Because you're getting stuff by like the Shins, Sonic Youth.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's
It's
like
that kind of
PJ Harvey.
Yeah, it's all very.
we get
kinda
to go
like-
to a Bengals concert.
They
too.
did.
Oh,
They
yep.
did go- that's
That's
more 80s,
fun.
but yes. But Lorelai, she's terrible at cooking, but great at hair and makeup and sewing. Like, it's just funny to me how she's just like so terrible. Like their house, they never have anything to eat. like it's always like leftovers in the fridge or random. People always comment when they come over there because she doesn't cook ever. She's very busy. But she, like I said, she works at the Independence Inn. She actually runs the Independence Inn. That's where she ran away to, essentially, and had Lorelai or Lorelai is Rory's name, but had Rory. And raised her, and now she's actually running.
Don't confuse everyone. Just say Rory.
I know. I keep slipping up because I'm looking down at my notes here.
No.
Ruby Roo.
But from the very beginning, the creators of the show wanted Lauren Graham as Lorelai.
Oh, did they write the character around her?
Yeah. Well, that kind of they were pursuing that and kind of went, she'd be great for
Interesting.
that.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you get Alexis Bledel.
Yeah.
I always say Bledel, but it's Bledel.
Bledel, yeah.
She plays Rory Gilmore, and this was her first kind of role ever. Like, she was chosen for this role.
I believe she was a model before, and she was 18, 19.
And then you get, so those are the two kind of main characters. Those are the ones who are the bulk of the story.
Yes.
And then you're going to get kind of their, I'm going one circle out here, Kent. So your circle of trust.
Circle of interest
one,
right there.
Yeah,
yes.
One circle out from that. You get Melissa McCarthy as Suki St. James.
Like pre-comedy Melissa McCarthy.
Pre-cynical comedy.
Yes, pre-cynical. That's a good way to put
Like
it. Pre-cynical
pre-Bridesmaids is what we're talking
Yes.
about. All right.
Which is a lot better than
Is it? Yes.
than Bridesmaids. Yeah, it's
She seems overly sweet in everything I've seen her in from this show.
They call her chirpy in the character description. I think it's a great description of Suki St. James.
I don't think she's overly sweet. I think she's a good balance for Lorelai, who's their best friends. So
Okay.
I think it's a good
and
fit.
she's in the show the entire time?
Yeah.
Because she hit it kind of big into the show.
I think it was like right after Gilmore Girls.
There was a question whether she'd come to the reunion episode.
Did she?
Yes.
I don't remember.
This is like a nice version of Melissa McCarthy. This is before she got stuck in the crass, crazy woman role rut that she's been in since then. And actually, in the pilot, the original pilot, it was played by Alex Borstein from Mad TV and Family Guy, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
Like she's in... the pilot, the original pilot is a little weird. Like if you watched it,
I've seen clips of it, and Alex Borstein was not great as Suki.
No,
she ended up coming back for recurring roles.
Harpist.
She was a harpist in the first season, and then I believe it's season 3. She plays Miss Celine, which I would never have known if I didn't look it up because she's got so much makeup
like
on.
An old fashion, designer
old
type.
fashion designer.
But it was interesting too because Alex Borstein would have been the Suki St. James role, except for the fact she couldn't get out of her Mad TV contract.
Who else is in the show? You guys are going deep dive on this.
You know what bugs me?
We need to keep it pretty relevant
You know
here.
what bugs me a lot? It bugs me that her name is Suki. Because in True Blood, the character is Sookie. And I always wanted...
did you get them
haven't seen True
confused?
Blood.
Anna Paquin and Melissa McCarthy?
Basically the same character.
I'm like, oh, it's Sookie St. It's Suki St.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so when does Alexander Skarsgård come to town?
But Suki is the chef. She's the chef at the end. She's her best friend, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
we go on to Lane Kim, who's played by Kiko Agina, who's Rory's best friend. But she is the one who is dating the show the most, other than Lorelai's wardrobe, because she's always the one that's like, oh, I got the new PJ Harvey CD, and oh, I love the not the Kinks. She's not that old.
Yeah.
Maybe she is, but she's like, oh, I love the Shins, and like she always wears the T-shirts of the band.
She's
obsessed
the
with
music guru. Yeah.
That's all what she's about. And then you get Luke Danes, played by Scott Patterson. He's the gruff diner owner, not coffee house, Ken.
Coffee shop.
And he's just really rough around the edges, wears flannel all the
Backwards
time.
baseball caps.
Backwards baseball cap. She puts it on forward one time. That doesn't look right. She puts it on backwards. But that's kind of the he was supposed to originally be just like a guest character.
Yeah.
But they liked him so much that
They're like, we need a guy in this show.
Maybe that was it.
But they had a chemistry test between him and Lorelai, and it went well, and so he got to stay
It
on the
does
show.
work pretty well.
Now, I have a question for Aleesha, and as well as the other ladies in the room here. Is Luke objectively attractive? If you were to see him as a model or on a shirt, would you think he was an attractive man?
He's like a poor man's John Corbett. And John Corbett is already a poor man's everything else.
Yes.
Wait, is it because of who he is? His natural, like, comedic timing, or what he looks like?
What he looks like. I'm
Okay.
thinking I like a little more gruff, and I like that sometimes. I think I don't know.
It's more of the reason I bring that up is because as a guy, I look at him and I'm like, he's not like, like if it was John Hamm with a bad personality, he'd still be a good looking guy.
Who is also in an episode of Gilmore Girls.
He is. But
What? Which episode?
It's
I'm kidding.
okay. I can tell you.
Scott Patterson, like I see him at like conferences and things
Maverick.
like that. And,
You see him around town,
and I'm
probably.
like, he's not like the traditional leading man type. He doesn't
Yeah.
look it. And he wears a cap all the time, actually, because he's a little balding on top
Yeah.
as well. But something about him in the show is charming. And even though he's a jerk, whenever he shows his softer side, you kind of go, oh,
Yeah.
he's a good guy.
But
Yeah,
him
he's
being
a
a
teddy
jerk,
bear.
is he flirting? Is that him being a jerk is like his affection towards Lorelai?
No, he full on
No.
yells at her like
Yeah.
occasionally, like when she wore the wrong sweatshirt.
Oh, that was the best episode.
My wife,
He had a reason.
my wife reports he's handsome for a lumberjack, and
Yeah.
he has to be wearing his hat.
Is your wife IMing you these responses?
He has to be wearing a hat because his hair is quite thinning. He always looks weird when he's not wearing a hat and flannel.
He
You
does
gotta
look
do-
weird when
it's-
he's not
it's-
wearing
it's
a
very
hat and
strange.
flannel. Yeah.
And always scruffy too.
Yeah.
But she's attracted to his protective side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause he's very protective
He's
of Rory and
protective.
Lorelai.
He's a good friend. He always shows up.
Yeah, he's thoughtful.
Like there's an
He's-
episode
That's attractive, right?
just
Yeah, it is.
recently where there's a medical emergency and Lorelai has to get to the hospital and he kind of drops everything to go help her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where like, oh, he does care, even though he's a jerk most of the time. Like in his diner, he doesn't allow cell phones. He doesn't allow like decorations. He's doesn't want him to paint. Like he's
Yeah.
just kind of like very traditional kind of guy. So that's Luke. And he's kind of the love interest for Lorelai. Will they, won't they happens for a long time. She has many love interests.
He was
Yes,
he
she
was
does.
actually the owner of the diner was supposed to be a woman originally, and then Amy Schumer-Palladino, whatever her name is.
Nope, not Amy
Why
Schumer.
would you say that?
She's like, oh, hey, maybe this show does need some testosterone. So, enter
But there
Luke.
are a few other
And it
male
works.
characters,
There
right?
are. Yes. Well, I mean, and I want to talk about the Gilmore parents, Richard and Emily, played by Kelly Bishop and Edward Herman. I love
Is
Edward
it Herman
Herman.
or Herman?
I would say Herman because
It's
it's
Herman.
It's HERRMANN.
It's
Come on,
Herman.
if that's not Herman.
No.
Herman. Those are her parents. They're rich, upper crust type people. Very stiff, very formal. Do not understand their daughter Lorelai, who is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they live in a really like rich, gaudy house that gets somehow much, much bigger as the show goes on.
Yeah.
It's like the
that's true.
TARDIS.
Yeah.
But Emily Gilmore, played by Kelly Bishop, she's like a classy version of Lucille Bluth, if you've seen Arrested
Oh, yeah.
Development. Because Lucille Bluth
Oh, that's a good comparison.
It is
Yeah.
very very cynical, very acidic, even,
Look at
I might
me,
say.
withholding.
Yes.
Yes.
And Emily Bishop, or I keep calling her by her actor name, Kelly Bishop, Emily Gilmore. She is kind of that same thing, but less evil. I
Like
don't know.
she has a heart, but she's condescending at the same time.
She's very condescending, but like Lucille Bluth is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Emily Gilmore is very
She's
put together.
Got it together. Yeah.
She just doesn't know how to be a person sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I actually found Emily to be a fascinating character. Early on in the show, she's just the worst. But as the show goes on, I really grew to like her as you get to know her more and like her vulnerable side. But it really just always comes down to she's either very like bitter, vindictive, or she just doesn't know how to be like a polite member of society.
Yes. Like she'll just comment on an outfit that Lorelai is wearing and say it in such a bitter, cynical way. And then when she gets finished, she's like, what? I can't tell you how to dress. I want you to look nice.
Yeah.
It's just how she
Well,
talks.
this is a character as well who was deeply hurt by what happened when her daughter left, when Lorelai left.
Yeah.
And she gets like triggered by stuff all the time.
Yeah,
And
they
it makes
both
sense.
do.
It actually, of the more dramatic elements of the show, it's one that I always actually enjoyed.
Yeah. And her dad, played by Edward Herman.
No.
If you don't know who he is, by the way, he
he's
played Franklin D. Roosevelt in Annie. I don't know if
He's
you
the
remember that.
dad in Richie Rich.
Yeah.
It's Herman Munster.
Not in the original.
No, in the remake.
In the remake.
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. And then he's got a fantastic voice. Like I love when he speaks on the show. He did some narration, a couple books I listened to. I love his voice. I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. We're kind of getting out of the circle here, but I just wanted to bring her up. Paris Geller.
Yes, Paris is a huge part of the show. She's a fellow student with Rory when she goes to the private school and kind of the competitive,
Yeah, the rival for sure.
the rival.
What you
Yeah.
meant to say is she's the worst.
She's not the worst.
She's the
she
worst.
gets better.
She does get better.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed actually does a ranking of the worst characters in the show, and she's the 10th worst. So not the worst
Who's
at all.
the number one worst?
That's Christopher.
Christopher.
I'll be, as we talk about characters,
No.
I'll be going through.
Yeah. So that's kind of the main group, I would say. There's a ton of this is an ensemble cast of town people and people at the school.
Would you say the episodes kind of dedicate their time to like one character, the exploration of one character, or do all the characters show up in every episode? Like, for example,
it's
they're
not-
like, hey, Sookie, we know you're having a problem at the inn. We're gonna
Suki.
Snooky, and so how can we help you? Like, is it dedicated to that, or is it just hijinks around town and everyone gets involved?
More hijinks. It's not like
Okay.
Lost
Yeah.
where each character gets their own episode.
Okay,
You
that's
learn
what I was
more about their
wondering.
backstory.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
not going to have a Miss Patty episode.
I would like that though.
That would be great.
But Aleesha, who are some of your favorite characters from Stars Hollow? Like, we're not going to talk about everyone, but I want to at least highlight some of the townspeople.
So I love Babette.
The next door neighbor.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I just think she's so funny and
Who
she's very
plays her?
helpful. Let's see, Sally Struthers.
That's it. Sally Struthers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Buns of Steel.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
No, you're thinking of Suzanne Summers.
That's it.
not Sally Struthers.
Oh yeah, she does the
She's
call
on the
line.
family.
Yeah.
No, what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So Sally Struthers. Short,
80s references.
short, short little stocky, raspy
Buns
kind
of
of
Steel
voice.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think she's like a really great neighbor. She's just very kind and thoughtful. There's an episode where Rory and Lorelai go to Europe and they're a week late, and Babette ends up calling like consulates just to find them and make sure they're not missing and they're okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think she's funny every episode that she's in.
Nice.
And I also really like Kirk.
Oh, Kirk's the best.
Just because it's
The 8th worst in town.
Although the-
sad.
Apparently.
Poor
No.
Kirk.
Can't hold a job.
Oh, yeah.
He's a,
Can't hold-
he's
I
a
mean-
cable guy with a different name in the first episode.
He
or
is,
second
yeah.
episode.
And talk about Kirk.
James Gunn's brother.
Yeah,
Sean Gunn.
Sean Gunn.
Yeah.
He's the body of
Rocket.
Rocket the Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just found that out not too long ago, and that freaked me out.
You're like, that's Kirk.
I just love all of the different jobs that he does around town. Like you find him in the beauty salon, or he's like wanting to apply to work at Luke's, or he's just I love all of the different
And I
jobs
think
that they
we've-
find for him.
I think he's on my favorite list too, but I think we've all kind of met people like Kirk where it's like they are so weird you don't quite understand like what's going on inside their head.
and you're like, what are you doing?
But they're nice, and so you don't want to like
Yeah.
completely shut them down. So it's like, okay, you're trying, but you're weird.
Yeah,
Over the course of 7 seasons of the show, Kirk had 62 jobs.
so many jobs.
Yeah.
I was going to say I brought up Kirk as well. He's just fun. Like every time he's on the screen, he's a good comedic relief. I also put Taylor Deuce.
Dosey?
Dosey. Oh my gosh. Yes, I never say it, but he's played by Michael Winters. But he's kind of the, what do they call him? What is his position? He's in charge of the town.
town council
He's
guy.
not like the
He's not the
he's not
mayor.
the mayor, because there was a mayor in an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, honey knows.
The town selectman.
The selectman, that's right.
What is
Selectman.
a selectman?
There was an episode for that.
But he's all about getting in people's business, and he's getting after everyone for like, if we do this, we're going to have hooligans in this town if we don't do this right. And he every time Lorelai or Luke puts him in his place, I find so much joy in that. And I also did put Miss Patty. I think
Yes.
Liz Torres and Miss
She's
Patty.
good too.
Miss Patty's awesome.
The town dance teacher, the town gossip, and every time she comes on the screen, she just commands. She has a
Yeah.
commanding
She is very sultry as well.
Yes, she is.
And how she acts
She's
with
had a
people,
past.
which is funny because she's this like I don't
Older,
know. Yeah, she's not exactly a looker, but
She's
she's,
a faded
kind of
star.
awesome. Yeah, and she just kind of hits on everybody.
So she's the
in
Mona
show.
type
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Who's the Boss.
Yeah, there you
Or
go.
like the Rue McClanahan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always fun.
We
She's a
just
good
brought up
character.
Who's the Boss again? Golden Girls. And then Michelle, I want to bring up Michelle too. He is a Frenchman who works at the inn. So mean, so bitter, and yet he is so fun to watch.
kind
interact
of
with
the
people.
worst
Great.
employee ever.
I think he knows what he's doing. He just doesn't care sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, if I had an employee that talked to me like Michelle talks to Lorelai, he'd be fired a long time
yeah.
before
I guess
that.
he's
True.
good. He's good at his job. He just has a real problem with authority.
Well, like
Yeah.
this group of French people come into the inn and they come up to him and they're like, "Oh, parlez-vous français?" And he's like, "No,
No.
I'm sorry." And then he goes back to Lorelai and she's like, "You're supposed to speak French." And he's like, "The French are insufferable. The French are insufferable." And then she makes him go over there and talk to him, and it's just kind of funny to see. So those are some town residents. There's so many out there, so many fun
Yeah,
characters to talk
yeah.
about. Ken, who was the number one worst?
Christopher, actually.
You said that, so
Yeah.
like give me
Yeah.
the top three.
So Christopher, Sookie is number 2.
Oh, boo!
And Dean
This
is
is a-
number 3.
This is a
Okay.
BuzzFeed
Okay,
list,
well,
isn't it?
I can accept
So-
that
Should we
one.
talk about
Guys,
these
who is
characters?
Christopher?
Christopher is Rory's father. So
Okay.
obviously when Lorelai and Chris were 16, Lorelai got pregnant. And Richard and Emily wanted them to get married, but Lorelai did not want to get married, so that is why she ran away.
Okay, so he's in not even half the episodes, not even a quarter of them.
No, he kind of more is like a guest star.
He comes and goes.
Yeah,
It seems like he shows up in the show whenever he's not supposed to. Like
That's
bad
fair.
timing for like Luke, for example.
Yep.
Okay. It ruins everything.
Well, because
Yeah.
Lorelai did have feelings for him.
Okay.
And then when he comes in town, she kind of gets confused again because this is the father of her child, and he does have some good parts.
And
Yeah.
every time he comes into town, family friendly. Sometimes.
Thanks, Zach.
Yep.
But it's usually TV PG.
But
so.
they're,
Yeah, implications. But yeah, we have talked about it before, but I do want to dedicate a little time to how they talk.
Oh, no.
On Gilmore Girls.
Yes, please.
Like I said, this is mostly like she actually wrote it as like the Katharine Hepburn, Spencer Tracy films, the screwball comedies of the 40s where they talk fast, they're clever, and they throw out all these different references as they go along. The show's tagline is "Life is short, talk fast."
Oh, so they knew it.
Oh, they absolutely
Yeah.
did. This was intentional. Amy Sherman-Palladino said, "Comedy dies slow." And so they would have, like Zach said, like 80 pages per episode when a usual show has 55 to 60 because it is just this quick back and forth. And in fact, Scott Patterson, who plays Luke, and Lauren Graham, who plays Lorelai, they both stopped smoking because they quote, needed the wind,
The lung capacity.
the lung capacity
Yeah.
to do these scenes. And it's kind of funny because they talk so much, and this is a selling point or not, I don't know, Kent. But they talk so much, but the stories actually move pretty slowly.
Yeah.
Like they are
say
bantering
so.
back and forth like the whole episode, but really the episode is just about, there's a town meeting that's going to happen, and it's going to be awkward for
But it's still
everybody.
watchable.
Totally
right? Even though
watchable.
the story does move slow.
Well, because it's
Because you like the character so much.
like
This
the
is a character
characters.
piece.
Very much a character piece.
Yeah.
Are we talking like, and sorry, this may be jumping, but like by the end of the season, something big is happening and they need to like have a big cliffhanger or prevent something or...
Not really.
No.
Like this isn't kind of a show where it's like you end on, oh no, who's going to die?
But maybe a relationship status, possibly.
Yeah, or like a proposal maybe or
Yeah,
something.
in the later seasons, that's more prominent, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say in the first couple of seasons.
But they intentionally chose to be stingy with like big events because she said sometimes the average everyday things are more impactful. I think it's true because I watch these episodes and I'm not really like, oh, what's going to happen when they have to do this festival? It's more like I am really enjoying how these characters are bantering with each other.
I think I'm spoiled by TV now and streaming shows that are generally around 10 episodes per season. Because watching 22 episodes of
Yeah.
this, it feels so overwhelming.
No,
of just straight up talking for 7
It is
seasons
a
plus.
a wonderful background show.
I think
4
so
episodes.
too. It's because the show doesn't have a lot of those arcs that we were talking about, and a lot of the episodes are standalone episodes. I don't think it's that overwhelming because
Okay.
it's not like you have a whole season to invest in a story, whereas you can just like watch a couple episodes here and there and pick it up just as well.
But do you
So,
find it's bingeable?
yeah,
Even though it doesn't end with a cliffhanger?
yeah,
You're
absolutely.
like, oh, I want to watch the next one.
Because I think it's generally a slice of life show. You could almost say it as an insult that kind of nothing really that important happens, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the charm
Life.
of the show, right?
I mean,
It's
Picture
you're just living
Downton
life.
Abbey, but with a personality.
Yeah.
That's kind of what
Dowager Countess would like a word.
No, I was saying, Dowager Countess, she belongs on Gilmore Girls, not Downton
Actually,
Abbey.
she kind of does. As Grandma Trixie?
Yeah, sure, why not? But they also, a lot of times when they're talking, it's interesting because they're not saying, like, this isn't like, I don't want to compare anything to Saved by the Bell negatively, but like Saved by the Bell, when you have those long conversations and it's like they're escalating and big things are happening and they're saying what they mean.
All right.
This is very much, they're kind of masking their emotions a lot of time by the banter. So like they're angry at each other, but they'll throw out these little jabs about pop culture references. And so it's just kind of interesting how they do mask their feelings with as much talking as they're doing, how little they're actually saying in some parts. Obviously, in some parts, there is some movement in that. Otherwise, it would be, spinning their wheels in the sand.
Right.
But as an actor, not that I'm like an actor ever on TV, but like with scenes on plays and things like that, you have to memorize sometimes these long things
Would
of
these
dialogue.
scripts be a nightmare?
But on TV, usually it's like they shoot a scene and they're done. They shoot a scene, they're done. They would do these long master takes of uninterrupted, just do the dialogue. So they were literally like doing this like a play, going back and forth, and then they would probably have them do it a couple more times and then splice it in together. They said it was absolutely exhausting
Wow.
to film
I would
this.
imagine as well, because Alexis Bledel, as you mentioned, she was like a model before. This is her first acting gig.
Yeah.
And she, apparently, there are stories from behind the scenes that she was real bad.
Yeah, I read that Lauren Graham would always be touching Alexis Bledel in the first season.
Yeah.
And Kelly Bishop asked why. And Lauren Graham was like, I just wanted to make sure she got to her mark.
She had to like push
guide
her
her?
onto
Yeah,
her mark.
yeah.
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 And it was rigorous too, because nowadays there's I enjoy improv. You guys know I enjoy
Yeah.
improv. I do improv.
Indeed.
But I do also value good writing. And I don't like how a lot of comedies these days are like, just say something funny, Seth Rogen. We don't want to write anything. Just say something funny.
It's so true.
And then he does like 12 dozen takes and they pick the one
And they
that's
find
probably
one that
most
kind of
over.
works.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, they were required to be word perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
no
really?
improv.
No improv.
Well-
they had to read
I
it as
respect
it was
that.
written. And so they're memorizing these lines, they're doing these long scenes, and it's crazy to watch and realize that they had to do this multiple takes a lot of times. I'm sure there were a lot of mess ups going on. Lauren Graham said, the show, as fun and breezy and light as it is technically really challenging.
I'm sure.
I want to show you guys how challenging it is, though.
Oh, why? How? What?
Because if you pull up your screens right now, gentlemen, I have sent to you 2 scenes we are going to be reenacting
Why?
from Gilmore Girls. I got the transcripts of these episodes, and I'm going to have us read through them. I've given you each part so you can see at the top.
I got cast in Gilmore Girls?
You did in Joel's Gilmore Girls.
Oh, my.
Hilton More Girls.
Nope.
Nope. Anyway, but I just want to do this, and I want you to read this. We've talked about the way they talk. It's a very fast banter,
word.
but with emotion, a lot of fun. Have fun with this light, breezy, airy
I'm being
fun.
directed by Joel.
Yes.
Okay, playing the role of the narrator is Mr. Kent Dunn.
Hello.
This is,
Lorelai.
yes, in this scene from Season 1, Episode 5, Cinnamon's Wake.
Lorelai will be played by Aleesha. Rory will be played by Joel.
Yes.
Appropriate. And I'm playing Emily Gilmore, the mom of the mom
So,
of
Kent,
the show.
you'll be reading the italicized parts as the narrator.
Yeah.
And the rest of us will play our characters of Aleesha's my mom, and Zack is my grandma.
Is this meant to sell the
Joel's
show?
grandma.
It's not weird.
Are these good scenes that you chose, or just
Yes, I handpicked these so
Okay.
we can give a flavor of what the show is like in a very weird way, because I in no way sound like Rory Gilmore.
okay? To set the scene, Lorelai, Rory, and Emily Gilmore are sitting around the dinner table.
So where'd you say Dad was?
Away on business.
Location's top secret?
Oh, Germany.
Germany. Is Dad's firm insuring Nazis now?
Your father doesn't know any Nazis.
I know, Mom. I was just...
What?
Joking. She was joking.
Oh, hard to tell.
Yeah, well...
Oh, I'm afraid I have some bad news. Claudia died.
Who?
Claudia. Your cousin, Claudia.
Lorelai stares.
Claudia!
I'm hearing the name, Mom. I have no idea who that is.
Claudia's your cousin for all intents and purposes.
Oh, now we're getting to it.
She was your father's grandmother's sister's girl, so to you, that would make her your...
Nothing?
Regardless, the funeral's on Thursday. I thought we should all go together.
Oh, whoa. 2 problems. Impossible to get away from the inn Thursday. 2, I've never met this woman.
You most certainly have.
When?
Several times.
I'll take 1.
We went to her house on Croton to see the first moon landing. She had just gotten a new Philco.
I have no memory of this whatsoever.
Rory, correct me if I'm wrong, but men have walked the moon regardless of whether your mother remembers it or not.
That's the rumor.
I know men have walked on the moon. I just don't know Claudia.
So you're not going?
Not this time.
I don't think Claudia's planning to die a second time.
Mom, I couldn't go if I wanted to.
Fine.
Pauses.
Oh, wait. Rudolf Gottfried.
Another cousin?
No, a Nazi that we knew. I'd forgotten. We stayed with him once in Munich. Nice old man. Interesting stories.
Mom, you socialize with a Nazi? That's despicable. That's heinous.
No, dear. That was a joke.
Rory laughs.
I said it before, but and scene.
Wow.
So now,
Well done, you guys. Well done.
I was gonna say, having watched that scene multiple times to make sure I had all the punctuation and everything right, I think you did a pretty good job of getting the pace of the show, especially Aleesha. Aleesha, fantastic
Thank you.
job.
Honestly.
Kent, I'd
Thanks.
give you a C.
Yeah, I'll
and,
take it.
And Zach,
To-do.
solid C+.
Yay.
So I want a little more emotion for this next one, because this next one...
You really are directing us.
So this next one is from Season 1, Episode 11, Paris is Burning. Zach, this time you will be the narrator
Oh, thank
/
goodness.
man. There's a man that comes in at one point.
Oh, I'll be man.
Yeah, man. Aleesha, you'll be playing Lorelai once again. I'll be Rory once again, just so we don't get confused as to who's who. And Kent, you will be playing the gruff Luke.
Oh, the coffee shop.
Wow,
It's
turn
a
that
diner.
backwards.
Coffee shop.
Lorelai and Rory are walking down the street.
L.
Laryngitis. M.
Mumps. N.
Narcolepsy. O.
Are we going to have to go through this every time we decide who cleans out the refrigerator?
Do you want to go back to thumb wrestling?
Osteoporosis. P.
Puppies!
Lorelai runs across the street to the park where a bunch of puppies are waiting in cages to be sold.
That's not a disease. Oh, boy.
Rory runs after her mother.
Hi. Oh, Rory, look at the baby.
Mom.
Aw.
She reads the card on his cage.
Buttercup was found cold and wet, hovering under a hydrangea bush along Highway 26. It's a sad highway.
As compared to all the other happy highways she could have been abandoned by.
Her lineage includes Cocker Spaniel, Golden Retriever, Beauvais de Flandres,
Gesundheit.
thank you, and Rottweiler.
Buttercup is a special dog. She's extremely skittish and tends to react badly towards blonde-haired females, brunette males, children of either sex, other animals, red clothing, cabbage, or anyone in uniform.
Luke walks up to them.
Hey, we just found the doggy version of you.
Can I help you?
Do not let these two anywhere near a dog. They could barely feed themselves.
Shut up, you. We'd be excellent pet owners, thank you.
You cannot be serious.
We could get him a pretty bowl.
It's a her.
And a new name.
Mom.
Because this Buttercup thing's really got to go.
Do I need to remind you of Skippy?
Skippy?
I can't believe you would bring up Skippy.
Skippy was our hamster.
He doesn't care.
What happened to Skippy?
Nothing happened to Skippy.
Every time Mom would put her hand in the cage, he'd bite her.
And laugh.
Hamsters can't laugh.
Oh, this one laughed, trust me.
She finally got fed up.
Of being laughed at by a hamster?
Well, yeah,
So she stopped cleaning its cage. Instead, every day she would stuff some Kleenex in there.
You didn't.
it was the quilted kind.
So this keeps going on, and the cage is just a cage full of Kleenex that moves a little. And the smell, really good.
I can imagine.
Oh, no, you can't.
So then she takes the cage to the place where we bought him, waits for the sales guy to go behind the desk, and dumps it on the counter, then bolts.
You abandoned your hamster?
Look, I know it was bad, but this was a vicious hamster. This was like a Damien hamster with little beady eyes and a big forked tail and a cape with a hood and... Bye-bye, Buttercup. Bye, Luke.
Luke leaves.
You did the right thing.
They both walk away from the puppies with arms around each other.
Oh, I want a pet.
You have me.
You won't bring me my slippers in the morning.
I might if you had slippers.
Will you wear a collar?
No.
It'll be pink.
You're sick.
Hey, watch how you talk to me. Remember what happened to Skippy?
And scene.
Guys, can we just keep doing that?
That's
I love this. Guys, guess what? I'm kind of sold on Gilmore Girls now. But I mostly because I just want to see Aleesha perform all the roles.
Yeah, that's good.
You did a great job, Aleesha. Really did.
Thank you. That was... I'm a little shaky, but I'm good.
But I was going to say, just that little back and forth, that's kind of what the whole entire show is.
It really feels like, being the newbie here, a stream of consciousness spoken by two or three people at a time.
Yeah.
That they can almost finish each other's thoughts, which is why I always said it feels so samey, but there is cleverness in the script.
Yeah. And I think it's because I always would like to be that clever. Like the way they're able to just shoot right back with an insult or
I wish
with a quirky joke.
Yeah, same. I wish I could just have that right on the spot, but, you know.
We're going to go a little off in the weeds here, though. I would like to go
Here to prevent you from doing that.
because one of the biggest debates in Gilmore Girls lore is Team Dean versus Team Jess versus Team Logan.
Dean for sure.
These are the love interests.
No, thank you, season 1.
These are the love interests of Rory Gilmore. And Rory's kind of the worst when it comes to boyfriends and treating them and the way they treat her.
Rory starts out from 16 and then she goes to college. So she has, like, what, 3? Is it 3 boyfriends over the span of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there are teams, like, are there fandoms for each of these boyfriends?
I believe so. So just to give you a little background, Dean Forrester is played by little baby Jared Padalecki.
Oh, yeah.
He got little baby Golden Archer's hair. It's kind of cute.
I was like, oh, wait a minute. Dean has to leave this show at some point because Supernatural starts.
And then he becomes Sam, not Dean, which is confusing.
Very confusing.
Yeah. And then you get Milo Ventimiglia plays Jess Mariano.
Zach?
Milo Venom.
That's it. If you don't know him, he played Rocky Balboa's son in Rocky Balboa.
And he's in Heroes.
He was in Heroes.
Peter
one of the main
Petrelli.
characters, Peter Petrelli, yeah.
This is us.
This is us. That's what I was trying to think.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the show that people actually know. Hello.
Yeah.
Like some random show in 2005.
Who is
Part
he
of
in-
his top lip doesn't move.
Who is he in This Is Us? He's the dad. What's the dad's name? What?
Jack.
Thank you.
He's Jack.
Ladies say it's Jack.
Milo Venom.
And then you have Matt Zukri?
Yep.
Herman. Matt Zukri plays Logan Huntsberger, who is I should clarify, Dean is like the new kid in town, the boy that works at the grocery store, early crush. Jess is the bad boy who comes along, like, Jesse's cousin and Saved by the Bell when he comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then you get Logan.
I get it.
Logan Huntsberger is like the uppity.
Huntsberger?
Yeah, it's a family name, and he's known.
Apparently based off of a real, like, New York, like, I don't know if they own the New York Times, but it's like a real family that's...
Yep, the Oaks Salzberger.
Yeah.
Oaks Salzberger. I can't say it.
I think you gave me a hard time.
But he's kind of he's the one who tries to get Rory to come out of her shell in many ways because she's very timid. Rory is a very timid girl. But each of these has you could say pros, and each of these has cons. And so I don't know if you guys have an opinion.
So I've only seen the one season. And so when I was watching, I saw Jared Padalecki, who plays Dean. And they have this very high school relationship where I actually noticed a lot of red flags with him. He told Rory that he loved her. And when she did not say it back, he got really aggressive.
Yep.
Although my favorite part is when he kisses her first time and she says thank you and then runs off.
runs away.
Yeah, right.
With cornstarch.
Yeah, she shoplifted cornstarch.
She shoplifted cornstarch.
Yep.
So the girl I was watching this with, I was like, you know what? He has his issues, but I like him for her. I think Dean and Rory are good, and she gave me the worst look. Anytime I say Team Dean, because I don't know what happens in the rest of the
Right.
show.
Yeah.
Joel told me, and boy, do I hate Dean now.
You can hate
But-
Rory too.
Okay.
Yeah, you
And I
can.
think, like I said, she's the worst, right? Joffrey and then Rory. Somewhere, like, as far as evil goes,
Wow.
Ouch.
who's worse?
Joffrey.
Joffrey. Joffrey.
He got justice.
I don't remember Rory murdering anybody.
Yeah, severing heads, and she doesn't do that.
That'd be good writing. I'd watch that episode.
Of course you would.
Okay, so Dean.
Game of Gilmore.
Are we all saying Dean is a bad
Oh, wait.
boyfriend?
Hold on, guys. I already have the theme song for Game of Gilmore's. La 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 la. Because they have these musical cues,
Yep.
the whole entire series, where it's just a girl strumming, a woman strumming a guitar, and just saying la 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 la. It's kind of background music. It's
Every
fun.
single show ends with ding 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 ding.
We didn't even talk about the theme song.
No, we
You're
didn't.
out
Yeah.
on the road by Carole King.
Carole King.
I will lead. Is that what
If
it's
You
called?
Lead.
If You Lead.
Yep.
I do enjoy that song. I listen to it occasionally, but I usually hit the skip intro button.
Ding ding ding
Anyway,
ding ding.
so Kent, you would say Team D just based on
Well, look,
you know,
I
the other two?
honestly probably Milo because he has superpowers.
Yeah.
Dean is a walking red flag. He's handsome, but he's a walking
He's-
red flag.
Well, to your point, you asked if he was a good boyfriend. I think he's a good first boyfriend for Rory, but like you said, there are a lot of red flags. He gets jealous pretty easily.
Okay.
He's not very patient or understanding.
And it seems like their story kind of ends. And then in later seasons, when it picks up, it's a very harsh story
Yeah.
for both characters.
Yeah.
That they should have just closed that relationship off.
Right.
When
I
it didn't
think
work
so.
out the first time.
Yes.
Yes.
But then they pick it up and it's bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes him and her bad.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It ruins both their characters, their relationship in later seasons. So you would say Team Dean though, just because you don't know
I
any
can't.
better.
I can't stand by that because I know now.
yeah.
Well, you
what
can.
he does.
It's fine. Zach,
Well,
do you have an opinion?
I'm Team Jess because
Because he
even
comes
though-
in season 2.
Even though he also has a bunch of red flags, he seems to be the only one that challenged Rory like intelligently, right? Like, and he
Because he's a rebel, but he also loves books.
He seemed to he seemed to be the one that was this sounds cheesy, but like seeing Rory the best, right? Like he would pay attention to her and he'd ask her questions about her, and that's initially where the sort of love triangle thing came in. It's because she was dating Dean, and then this Jess guy comes along and is like, "Hey, do you guys ever talk about like books or anything?" And he's like, "No, Dean doesn't get any of the references or anything that we talk
I
about."
can't unthink of Community when you mentioned Dean.
Somebody say Dean.
I'm Team Dean.
Yes. No, I think that even though Jess has problems, like I often wonder in the show, what if Rory had fully like just committed to one guy? How
right.
would that have worked out?
Depends on the guy.
What if it was Jess?
So Kent's Team Dean, your Team Jess.
Stop saying that.
And Aleesha, I value your opinion more than anyone else at this table.
Oh, thanks. I am also Team Jess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, honey raised her hands.
While he is a rebel, he grows up the most and matures a lot and is a much better person.
He writes a
later.
book.
He does write a book.
You know, I found out why he disappears from the show. They were going to do a spin-off show with him.
Yep. And his
Which
family.
They
What?
did one episode, and I'm so glad they did not do.
Was it bad?
It was bad.
Oh.
It was not my favorite. I usually end up skipping that episode when I'm doing my rewatch, actually.
Okay. So we have Team Dean from Kent. Team
Hate it.
Team Jess from you and or from I shouldn't say
You.
you.
I'm
Zach,
Zach.
and Alicia. Team Jess from Honey. Jillian, do you have an opinion as well?
Team Jess.
Jess.
Team Jess. Okay.
Can I change my vote?
That
No.
means that Joel is Team Logan. Tell me
That
why.
means I'm Team Rory. Stay single because I don't like any of her boyfriends. Every single one
We
of them.
haven't mentioned
I could
the
not
third.
stand. Logan.
Okay.
Logan, I thought was just kind of a jerk the whole time.
And
to
he
her.
is the
Yeah.
college boyfriend.
Yeah, he's a college boyfriend. He's manipulative. There is some good moments. He always calls her Ace, which I hated.
Yeah.
And I just never got into their relationship. I thought Jess, the bad boy thing was so hokey. I never really liked him as a character, and I didn't think he was.
But he's so handsome, though.
He's handsome, but
Aleesha. Oh, I like that.
if I had to pick, though, I would say Team Dean season 2.
Is Logan the longest standing boyfriend throughout the series?
Team Dean season 2?
Team Dean season 1 and 2.
Team toxic masculinity?
No, just the fact that I can't
high
stand
school
what Dean,
boyfriend. I mean, come on.
I could not stand what Dean became. I cannot really stand Jess from the beginning. And while I think Rory was the best for Jess, I don't think Jess was the best for Rory.
I bought you a car. Why won't you love me?
Are you
That's
talking
pretty
to me?
good gift.
Is that
Yeah,
from the show?
thanks,
Or
Zack.
is that for me? Is your new car for me?
I built you a car. Why won't you love me?
Yeah, but I cannot. Rory as a character starts off so innocent and fun, and by the reunion, like the Gilmore Girls, A Day in the Life,
A Year in the Life.
We don't get to talk about that.
No, but I absolutely hated Rory after watching that.
Oh yeah, me too.
I do think it's interesting that you have, I mean, going back to the original relationship of Lorelai and Rory, Rory gets to grow up seeing Lorelai date, right? And so she should learn a lot of lessons and also make her own mistakes,
Except
right?
Lorelai hasn't grown up.
Okay, isn't that kind of interesting though?
Yeah.
That these are two very flawed characters.
Yes.
And yes, Rory makes, I think maybe it sounds like more mistakes than Lorelai,
Yes.
but they also get to see each other kind of almost be on the 16 years apart, but the same dynamic.
I could see the good. This is, once again, we're getting far into the weeds, but I don't want to give spoilers.
All right.
I can see the good in almost all of Lorelai's big relationships. I have a harder time seeing any good in Rory's
Except for she never loved not Christopher. She never loved the teacher.
Max
She
Medina.
just
She
goes-
should have ended up with Max.
She ghosted him.
No.
Yeah.
Weeds.
No, I'm in the weeds.
No, I was just talking about the show Weeds. Remember that one?
Speaking of Laura, can I just... there's no place to throw this in, so I just have to explode it right now. I like this show because Lorelai has not one, but two guys in her life that drive 65 Mustangs. Both Christopher and Max have Mustangs, and it's great.
That's why you like him. That's why you say she's ended with Max.
Max has a hard top in
Mr.
blue.
Medina to you.
Mr. Medina has a
Norman.
blue hard top, and
yeah.
then
Yeah, I really respect people who
mean-
have Mustangs in their life.
you mean Wolfie from 10th Kingdom?
Tell me you didn't
because that's
hear
all
what-
I saw the whole
you didn't
time.
hear what Zack, Kent said.
Oh,
did you?
I'm ignoring Kent. And then Christopher has a red convertible. That's great.
Nice.
That's what you notice.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
It's great.
Do you guys notice that we're talking faster and faster as we talk about the show?
Are
Anyway, Aleesha, if you were to tell someone 3 episodes or so of which ones to watch,
You guys have really been selling the fact that they're standalone episodes.
you totally
Yeah.
could. It will be better if you watch it from the beginning, but you can jump into any episode and almost enjoy it.
So are there 3 episodes throughout, or would it be the beginning?
Well, I mean, the pilot is a good place to start, just because you're introduced to the town and the Lorelai's workplace and Rory's, getting into Chilton and all that. I do have a couple of episodes that I think would be a good place to jump in as well. Season 1, episode 6, it's called Rory's Birthday Parties. So Rory going to Chilton, her grandma on Friday night dinners decides to throw Rory's birthday party. And she invites like all of her school mates, I should say, to come, even though she doesn't
hates
like
them.
any of her schoolmates because they're
Rory
all
doesn't like-
jerks to her.
Yeah, they call her Mary.
So Tristan. Yeah, so they throw this party and Rory, just has a terrible time.
It's a very uppity party.
Yeah, it's because it's at their mansion and like Emily caters it and all this stuff. And Rory just doesn't have a good time. And Emily gets mad that Rory doesn't have a good time, that she put in all this effort. And then the next night, Lorelai throws Rory's birthday party and it's just the people from the town and it's much more chill. Rory's got a cake with her face on it, and Suki's like got all of this amazing food, and Emily and Richard come to this birthday party.
The grandparents come to the party.
And they get to see kind of where Lorelai's been living and just how
Because they'd never been there before that party.
they had never been to Lorelai's house before that point. And Emily kind of is looking around the house and she goes up to Lorelai's bedroom at one point and she sees that Lorelai had broken her leg and was in a cast. There was a picture of Lorelai in her cast, and Emily didn't know about it. She didn't know she had broken her leg, and it was anyway.
She starts to realize that she was not in her daughter's life, and it really hits her hard at that moment.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to start because you get to see the tension that their relationship has throughout the whole show. I think that tension just kind of stays there. My next one is season 2, episode 4, which is called The Road Trip to Harvard.
Zach, you know this?
Do you agree, Zack? Lorelai and Rory decide to take a road trip to Harvard because that is where Rory wants to go to college. and they go to this inn called the Cheshire Cat Inn, and basically, yeah, it's pretty great, and it's
What
like
happens?
cheesy. It's cheesy and
It's this awful
weird.
bed and breakfast
Yeah.
where everybody who's staying at the bed and breakfast, like they're trying to assimilate you. They're like, "Hey, let's go over to the window and watch this thing." Like, "Why are you leaving? Come have breakfast with us." And it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious
It's
because
pretty
it's
funny.
so anti the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically the episode is there because Lorelai is running away from something, and Rory like is trying to confront Lorelai about it at one point. I think, yeah, that's a good episode to show their dynamic too, and just kind of where they are in their lives. And when they go to Harvard, they kind of look at Rory's possible future. You know, they go to like a class and they go to a dorm room, and they're just kind of reminiscing and about what Rory's future could be. And then, but Lorelai's also thinking about what her future could have been had she not gotten pregnant with Rory. So I think that's a good episode to start with as well. And then the last episode that I want to mention is season 3, episode 13, called Dear Richard and Emily. And this one is basically the premise. There's just like flashbacks.
It's like a prequel almost.
Yeah, kind of flashbacks to when Lorelai was 16 and she gets pregnant with Rory. So it's the moments leading up to that. It's kind of, it shows a little bit of her and Chris and their relationship, and then flash forwards a little bit to when she finds out she's pregnant and their parents are trying to figure out what they want to do. And that's kind of when I think Lorelai decides that she doesn't want the life that they are planning out for her. So that's kind of the moment she decides she wants to run away to Stars Hollow. And once again, I think that's another good dynamic show between Lorelai and Emily, just to show their history. But it also shows some good, like, current relationship dynamics between them as well, and how they're kind of repairing things as they're going along.
Yeah. Those are some good choices.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I'm glad you didn't steal any of mine.
Okay, good.
But I did say the pilot. I think the pilot episode really does hit the ground running. You get an introduction to the characters, and you get a feel for the show, and it's a fun episode to watch. I also chose season 3, episode 7. They shoot Gilmores, don't they? Which is a reference to a random movie called They Shoot Horses, don't they? But it's a dance marathon at the town. It's a 24/7 dance marathon, and Kirk always seems to win, and so Lorelai really wants to beat him this year. And this is when the Dean, Rory, and Jess thing kind of comes to a head. So there's a lot going on with that too. But it's a fun episode to watch. Even if you don't really know what's going on, you can probably catch up and figure it out. Also, I chose, and the third one I chose was season 3, episode 9, A Deep Fried Korean Thanksgiving, which is when Rory and Lorelai end
That's where
up
they have
going-
KFC, right?
Yes, exactly. But they end up going to like 4 Thanksgivings. Yes,
Yeah.
four Thanksgivings. They go to the Kims, which is Rory's friend. It's a very strict religious household. They go to Jackson and Suki's Thanksgiving, which is kind of this, not elegant, but just delicious foods everywhere kind of thing. And Luke and Jess, who's Jess from The Rebellious Boyfriend, is Luke's, I don't know if we mentioned this, but it's Luke's nephew.
Yeah.
And theirs is much more kind of low key. And then they go to the Gilmores, Richard and Emily's, and have a fancy one. And so you get to see all these different families and how they interact with each other. So I thought it was a good sampler platter episode, and it's hilarious too.
It is. Drunk Suki, one of my favorite things.
Yes. So there you go. There's some episodes to start out with, but
I do have some recommendations.
Oh, you
as well.
do?
Yeah, this is from my wife.
Oh, okay.
She also
Is she IMing you again?
Yes, she is. So, season 2, episode 4, the road trip to Harvard, which was mentioned.
All right.
I've actually seen this one, and it really is a good representation of their relationship, and just like let's go off and have this adventure and ignore our problems, which I'm always down with. The other one that my wife said was season 3, episode 7. They shoot Gilmores, don't they?
Yep.
As well, because that's fun.
Kirk heavy episodes. Love those.
Yep.
I saw a piece of this and got quite emotional. This is season 3, episode 22. Those are strings, Pinocchio. This is Rory's graduation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't seen the episode, but I watched her speech and I got choked up for sure. And then the last one that my wife says, which is season 4, episode 2, the Lorelai's first day at Redacted, which is the college that she goes to. Not really. It's a spoiler. It's about moving to the college that Rory goes
Because she went to a prep school with the intent to go to Harvard.
to go to
Does
Harvard.
she end
Does
up there?
she? Moving to the college shows their deep connection between Lorelai and Rory. Also, there's fun banter with Luke and the truck. It's so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
So
we
there you
go.
go.
Take all
There's some
of your words for
recommendations.
it.
Like we said,
Yeah.
if you're taking notes, that's great. If not, just start at the beginning because those are some all good. I think everyone gave good episodes. So bravo.
Everybody wins. We're all
Everybody
pretty.
wins.
Yay.
But this is the end of the show where we like to give, shall we say, our testimony of why we think you should watch this show. And this is mostly going to be coming from me and Aleesha.
Yeah.
Kent and Zach, if you want to. So if I may start just real quick. I am not the target audience for this show. What? Meaning I am not, I was not a 30-something mom. I was not a teenage girl when I watched this show. And yet I found so much joy from the beginning in watching this show unfold. I began to love the characters and want to see them more. I was actually kind of thrilled when they said they were going to bring it back for the reunion, the Year in the Life.
We blew over that. It's bad.
Is it
wouldn't say
universally
bad.
known as bad?
Well,
I
okay.
think most fans don't like it.
Well, may
Right?
I prep you that the show itself doesn't really have an ending. It kind of just ends with a la 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 la, and the show's
Right.
over. There's no like big thing at the end. So this kind of does wrap up some loose ends, but also it just makes some characters worse.
Yeah, and I think once the series ended, I had this idea of what I thought the characters would be going off and doing, and that did not happen
it was
in
better
Year in
than
the
what
Life.
actually
Yeah,
happened.
exactly.
Okay.
So did the showrunner, Amy. Blah, 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 blah.
Shyamalan.
Yes, well, when it
Amy
moved over, when it
Sherman-Palladino.
moved from the WB to the CW, they actually got a whole new team of writers and got rid of the showrunner,
And the showrunner.
Amy Sherman-Palladino.
So we're
Amy-
saying
Yeah.
Netflix has ruined everything.
Well,
with the rest
so
of
they
development
bring
and-
back Amy Who's Her Face.
Yeah.
And she's like, I had a vision of how the show would go, and there were 4 words that were supposed to be said at the end of the show.
Yes.
And they weren't in the original run, and so they basically make this whole new season. It's basically the Rise of Skywalker, right? It's like we're going to undo what happened in the last one, and
But still
we'll
bad.
We'll do it
I
my
wouldn't
way.
put it that far down because I was going to say it was fun to see the characters back, even though I didn't really like some of the storylines. But there were some storylines I did like. So I don't think that a Year in the Life is required viewing.
No.
If you're done with if you're done with the series and you're good, be good. Don't watch a Year in
If
the
you
Life.
have your own endings for characters, let's have
Yeah.
those endings.
Also, from what I hear, in the time away, Alexis Bledel got way worse at acting.
But back to my testimony, shall we?
Yes.
But it's fun to watch and actually like sit down and like not have any distractions and watch it. But it's also a great background show as I'm like working on something or cleaning up something or just doing stuff around the house. If this is playing, it's just fun to listen to because the dialogue, it's so dialogue heavy, and that's where the story is. So many fun references in this show. Like they throw out constant pop culture and literary references. And just in the few episodes that I watched in preparation for this episode, I'm just going to read through the references that they made. Moby Dick, Willy Wonka, The Crucible, Rancid, Pink Moon, Marky Mark, Magnolia, The Cure, The Outsiders, Double Indemnity, The Miracle Worker, Kafka, Charo, The Omen, Psycho, Foo Fighters, Yoko Ono, and Macbeth. Just in the couple
Like
episodes.
Baconsale, basically.
Yeah. In fact, they did say one critic did mention that this show is some cross between Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Ulysses, which I was like, odd, but I like it.
Question for the old people here. Do you watch with subtitles? Should I watch with subtitles?
I usually watch most of my shows with subtitles because I can't turn up the volume loud.
Well, and also you don't want to miss any jokes, right?
There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Sometimes those subtitles on Gilmore Girls, though, they don't keep up with
No.
the
Yeah.
actual.
Is it the whole page because they're talking so
Right.
fast?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
lines.
they edit, what
Here's
they
a vague
actually say.
idea of what they said.
Right, yeah.
And one other thing I want to bring up is just that I love the relationship between Lorelai and Rory. It is immature. It absolutely is. These two both need to grow up a lot.
Their couple name is Lorelai.
But I love the way they interact and joke with each other to the point where I'm like, I would love to have that kind of relationship with my kids where we can just banter really quickly back and forth and throw out references that we get. It's that inside kind of joke love that I enjoy. So I watched this kind of not really as a skeptic, but just kind of curious, and I ended up loving it. And I absolutely will be rewatching the entire series again because I've already started binge watching it, and I cannot stop now because I like it.
And you're saying everyone can enjoy this.
I'm saying everyone can enjoy it. If you
Okay.
open up your heart, you ice monster.
All right, Aleesha.
Anything to add to that?
Yeah, just like what you were saying. For me, it's always been a comfort food show. I'm just anytime I'm like feeling sad or and I'm in between shows, I will put on an episode of Gilmore Girls.
It's very uplifting.
Is
Yeah,
this
it is.
your favorite show of all time?
I don't know that. Yes.
A dozen times.
Yeah, that's true. A dozen times. Then
At the
you
very
have
least,
to say it's my favorite show,
or
right?
at the very least, it's comfort food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Joel said, it's a great background show. I like to watch it when I'm sick. And for the most part, I think this show, besides maybe the fashion and the references, some of the
Musical
references, yeah, I think it's pretty timeless because it's more about the relationships and the characters than what's going on in the world.
I do think it's nice that because the show is set where it is, there are still cell phones that exist. Not everybody
not Luke
has one,
Steiner.
Yeah.
but there are still cell phones, and so there's not some of the dramatic communication problems.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, the pagers
Yeah.
were a thing.
Yeah, Rory has a pager.
It's
Right.
Stars Hollow is just a cute little town. Like I would love to live in a little town like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all I had to say about it. So,
That's great.
yeah.
So there you go. There's kind of our testimonies we call
Indeed.
them because we call these missionary shows a lot of times. But Kent, Zach, have we at all like tilted the scales anyway into enjoying the show a little more?
I'm going to start season 2 pretty soon. I'll let you know how I feel.
But you got to get a date first.
Hey man,
Well, that would help.
I think season 2 is better than season 1.
Really?
I do think it was good. Yeah,
Because I try to
'Cause you
act.
get
I
the
honestly,
characters.
and even during this show, I've tried to act tough, like I'm the alpha male here, when I'm clearly not. But here's the thing: the writing, it is catchy.
Yeah.
It's like a good hook, and I do think it all comes back to the original dynamic between Lorelai and Rory, and I think that really works.
And don't think of this as like reality. This is not trying to be a real show. This is that kind of surreal Twin Peaks-ish. Like people don't really talk like this. People don't really act like this. There's some stuff that happens. You're like, okay, that would never happen in real life because the town's just quirky. But that's the whole point. This is a little elevated reality. And if you think of it that way, it's maybe less annoying.
Okay.
So, but there you go. Let us know what you think of Gilmore Girls. If you're already a fan, or if we maybe enticed you to watch an episode or two when you're on a date or with your wife or whatever. But Aleesha, before we go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here at the end?
I just want to give a shout out to my parents, Brian and Angela, who are both avid fans of Baconsale as well.
hey.
Yeah.
And Gilmore Girls?
And my mom, Gilmore Girls. Yeah. Don't think my dad's ever seen an episode. And I would like to give a shout out to Jillian for coming with me tonight. She's
Hey, Jillian.
the favorite sister, who's my only sister, but she's the best sister in the world.
Oh, that's fun.
that's great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. But yeah, let us know on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We want to hear from you.
But before we go, we want to thank some of our patrons in a couple of categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, which includes Ryan and Marley, Lady Terry A. Finley, Sean Sandquist, Aleesha Bass, Braden Winterton, Chris Drought, Jennifer Kilkowski, Adam and Rachel Crump, Scott Sprague, Sir and Madam Hicks, Glow Daniel, Rocky and Steph, Andrew in the Dark, Shannon West, Debbie Foster, Casey Cummings, and Jake the Cooler King Swallow. I must say, after our Gilmore Girls show, I feel encouraged to read these quickly.
Yeah.
That was one take.
Yeah. And then on our Bacon Council, we have Nicole sitting in the sin bin Hale, the one, the only Chris Anderson, Stephen, everyone's favorite, Ross, Bacon Council member Kyler, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Beaker, Pants, Allison Gall, and Josh.
Thanks, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. We
patrons.
appreciate you. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find Performing Quickwits. They perform at the Vimeo Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qdobcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kenny3DD. You can read my movie reviews at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to share your opinions about Gilmore Girls with me, you can do so either at Blake's Barbershop, where I'm taking appointments for haircuts, but that's for guys, so I'm probably not going to get too many of those. Or you can reach out to me on social media, Tumbling Mustard on Twitter and Instagram. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Like that Facebook page and go to @Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. While you're doing that, stop by tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself a bunch of fun merch, including, get this, t-shirts.
Wow.
Weird. tpublic.com/Baconsale. And then if you like what's going on here and you want to support the show further, go to patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. You can get mostly weekly when I'm not going on vacation, Bacon Bits. You get behind the scenes notes, pictures of the various weird things we've been doing lately.
We just posted some pictures of us visiting the first KFC.
Because, why wouldn't you want to see that? Patreon.com/Baconsale. So until next time, because I love you, you idiot. Canadian
We're going
Road
Calgary.
That's worked well for kids in the past.
yeah.
Hey! Too soon!
Aaron Sorkin says, "Shut up, kids."
Tess does not have Bluetooth, by the
doesn't have
way. There's very little difference between the characterization of Rory Gilmore and Walter White.
I'm married. every once in a while during the show, I'm going to need to turn around so she can give me my opinion.
It's like a happy, less murdery version of Twin Peaks.
Finger licking good.
Yeah, Kent.
No. Oh my gosh, Aleesha! When does Alexander Skarsgård come to town?
But Suki is...
It's
Come on,
Herman.
that's not her mom.
No.
Her mom.
But still.
Yeah, no. What? No, you're thinking of Suzanne Summers.
That's it.
You're trying, but you're weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every time he comes into town, family friendly.
Yeah, cut that out. That got weird.
I got cast in Gilmore Girls.
So I want a little more emotion for this next one. Did you practice? Because
I did practice.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I've ruined the art. Because he's a rebel, but he also loves books.
But he's so handsome.
He's
though.
handsome. But
Why will you love me?
I'm hiding. Hello, I'm right here.